how to put your best foot forward on your college applications to highlight all the activities that you have engaged in throughout your high school years. Well, first of all, we need to cull our activities that we participated in the past together. And we shouldn't just rely on our own memory. So it's always good to keep a journal, whether you're a junior listening to this or a senior, of all the activities that you've engaged in through the years. We tend to think that we will remember, but as I mentioned, that's not necessarily the case. It's good to keep like a manila folder with all of your certificates or awards close to your journal, and anything that you get, any accolade or certification of volunteer hours, just slip it into that folder. So when it comes time to write down all your activities on your college application, you'll have the information all there for you. Also, before completing your application, ask a parent as well, or both of your parents or siblings, about, are there any activities that I have missed? Because more than likely your parents have driven you to some of those activities or sports or volunteer hours, and they will remember. Also a sibling as well. So good to kind of pick their brains to make sure you haven't missed anything. Or something that you may deem as not really an activity, your parents may say, hey, of course, that definitely counts. So good to bring in other people into this process. Well, what to include in your application list of activities? We really need to broaden our minds with regard to what an activity is. We tend to think of honors and awards, and that's definitely considered accolades to include in your activities and awards list for your application. It can be honor roll or math student of the year or something such as that. Other areas to think about are paid positions. We tend to think, oh, it's a job that I had to do, or I had to work at my family's restaurant. Definitely, that's part of the picture of who you are that colleges want to know about. So think about any positions. If you were a surf camp instructor or a camp instructor at the local nature center, or if you worked as a barista at Starbucks, all of that is very important for the college, and they need to know that. So don't discount those paid opportunities. Volunteer opportunities as well. Please definitely note those down. If it's volunteering at the Second Harvest Food Bank for Orange County, that definitely counts. At your local library, even if you did it to get the hours for graduation, please definitely include that, because the nature of where you volunteer really shows where your passions lie. Sports and recreation is another category. We tend to think of sports just relating to high school sports, such as, volleyball or tennis or football or cheer. But it goes a lot deeper to recreation. Are there activities that you enjoy doing for recreational purposes? It could be ping pong, it could be yoga, or even ultimate frisbee. So think about sports, not just with regard to an organized sport, but with regard to what you like to do for recreation. If it's fast walking or even, I guess it could be walking animals at the local animal shelter for their health and for yours. So kind of broaden your mind with that. Another category would be academic competitions. Have you been involved in that, such as the academic decathlon or a quiz bowl or a robotics competition? All of that would definitely be very relevant for including on your application, or maybe getting involved in if that's something of interest to you. Arts. We tend to just think, drawing and maybe ceramics, but it can be other types of arts. If you're involved in jewelry making, designing your own jewelry, quilt making, drawing or sketching in your free time. Colleges want to know about that. What makes you you, what those passions are. Other categories to include anything you've done in the community, such as 4-H or FFA, Future Farmers of America, or maybe you volunteered for Habitat for Humanity. So anything with regard to making our community better, please include that. Government, if you participated in Model United Nations, or even government within your school, ASB, definitely do include that. Leadership. This one I really want to focus in on, because when we tend to think of leadership, we think of a founder of a club or the president or vice president of a club. But colleges have really broadened their idea of what constitutes leadership. It can be being a big brother or big sister in that organization, mentoring someone, or even giving examples of where you take the lead in projects at school, or even serving as a tutor. So really think about, what have I done as a leader? They do like to see that, you taking the lead and initiative in some situations. So think about that. And if you're missing that in your application, think about a way, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, about how you can fill that area in. Media is another category, being involved with the school newspaper or yearbook, or even working at your local newspaper, maybe being a guest contributor, or even writing a letter to the editor and getting that published. Music, if you play an instrument or are in choir or ensembles or marching band, definitely include that. Performance art, choreography, if perhaps for the dance team, or even puppetry. So you really have to think about, what am I doing? And in my spare time, what do I get excited about? What do I do? And you may think, oh, it's just a fun recreation, but it is an activity. So definitely include it. Technology. You could be a blogger, involved with social media, or have your own YouTube channel. I had a student who was really into coding, and she developed a YouTube channel for young women who are interested in coding, and she would post weekly tutorials for that. And so that was her unique aspect of technology. So perhaps you're into video editing, or you work at your high school's television station. So definitely include that. Volunteer, we talked about that. We'll touch on that. Animal rescue. I know a lot of organizations love for students to come in and walk their dogs, or volunteer in any capacity. Maybe you volunteered at your local hospital. Social activism. If you've been involved in maybe animal rights or Black Lives Matter, or have participated in a rally or protest, definitely do share that. Well, what not to include in your application? Kind of the big debate, quality versus quantity. What's more important? Because I know like the UC application has multiple areas to put activities. And if you see 50 areas, you think, oh, I need to fill them up. But no, that's not the case. Colleges want to see quality. They would rather see depth and passion for maybe one activity that you have been participating in for a significant amount of time, than you participating in 10 activities just on the surface level, being a member of 10 clubs, but not going any deeper than that. So really, they want to see kind of a common thread in your interests. That maybe it's performance art and you've choreographed your dance team's competition routine and you've participated in that, and you're also assistant dance teacher. So something's, following a common theme within a particular passion is very appealing to colleges. So what not to include, let's say that you're a member at your high school's book club and you've only attended one meeting. Probably best not to include that as well. You want activities that you can really show that you were involved in and you can speak to. That also maybe your recommenders would be able to, in their letters of recommendation, speak to that. So it shows from other points of view that you are really passionate about a particular cause or activity. The importance of the description of your activity. Sometimes when students start filling out their applications, they want to get it done as quickly as possible. But I always tell them to take pause when they're filling out their activities. You really want to highlight the role that you played in the organization, whether it's a leadership role as a vice president or maybe an editor of a paper or of the Student Journal of Science. Or if you were in charge of fundraising for ASB, note that down, highlight that first as your position, ASB fundraiser. And what you want to do is discuss your impact. And I always recommend doing this with numerical values. If you can say, I raised $5,000 for this local animal shelter, or I increased profits of an organization by 25%. If you can quantify it, that definitely is a lot more powerful than just saying, I raised funds for ASB. So definitely quantify it. Also know what time commitment you put in, because they do ask you that on the applications. Just kind of a rule of thumb, the school year is usually about 40 weeks or so, roughly. And so you think about how many hours a week that you put in with this particular activity. Just an estimate. It doesn't need to be precise, but do calculate also in if you played volleyball tournaments on the weekends. So do calculate those in, travel time on the bus to go to away games. So that's very important to calculate. They want to know that. They want to know what you were doing with your time outside of the classroom. Well, let's say that you're writing up your list or you're thinking about your list as a rising senior or junior, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I need to round it out a bit more. What can you do? Well, think about, here's some suggestions, taking a course at a local community college in an area that interests you. Maybe you're interested in learning data coding in Python. So you sign up for OCC or Coastline Community College to learn more about that. Or even bookbinding. I had a student who did that, who was interested and just took a course in that. And it really shows individuals are following their passions and how unique they are. and what they'll contribute to the greater good at a particular college. You could take an online statistics course at Stanford University, all sorts of things. So definitely do look into those opportunities, because colleges want to see that you're going to challenge yourself, that you want to challenge yourself academically outside of the classroom. And this shows them that you definitely are looking for opportunities to challenge yourself. Also look into research internships at local universities. Like I know UCI and Cal State Fullerton a lot of times have summer opportunities for students to serve as research assistants in psychology labs, biochemistry labs as well. So that would be something to look into. You can also consider an adventure, an outward bound camp, or some type of adventure in which you can learn leadership skills, cooperation for a superordinate common goal, and just challenge yourself mentally. So that is another unique opportunity to explore and look for. And also, it'll give you some good talking points to write about in your essays. Another area would be to job shadow somebody in a field that you're interested in. If you're interested in, physical therapy, finding a friend of a friend or a family member who's a physical therapist and shadowing them and asking for, maybe some duties helping out there. Another idea would be creating your own YouTube channel for a topic you're interested in sharing your expertise in. As I mentioned, the student who wanted to teach other young women how to code. It could be maybe you're interested in equestrian and you want to post videos about the proper care and feeding of your horses, or whatever it may be. That is a fun experience to take part in and show your passion to the university. So it's never too late to find opportunities to round out your list if you look for what is your passion and what excites you. I so hope this has helped with you for finding ideas and how to best showcase what you've been accomplishing all these 4 years. So you've done a lot of hard work, and let the colleges definitely know about it. Well, I've enjoyed presenting on this topic, and I will stop at this point for questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm moderating. I'm Rachel. I'm one of the college counselors at Strive to Learn, and I'm just going to moderate questions and see what your thoughts are in Melinda's absence tonight. So take it away, everyone. I think it probably depends on, what you're doing with video games. I like the only thing that you list on admissions teams want to see students who are well-rounded and have a few things going for them outside of school. So if video games are your interests, then I would also say that you should make an argument as to why and what is it about them that interests you. Has it helped you with strategy? Does it, pull on your kind of logistical strings? What really are the accomplishments that come from playing video games? Okay, another question. If a student has multiple experiences to share, like a job shadow, a mentor program through school, and a significant part-time job, what is the best way to showcase both? I believe they just list their extracurriculars instead of expound, correct? In the activities sections of these applications, it depends on which application you're actually doing, but there are always places to explain. And so again, like I was saying before, and what Melinda said, colleges want to see well-rounded, they want to see depth and quality versus quantity. So did the job shadow happen like only one time, or is it something that they're doing multiple times in order to explore careers and various career paths? What I would probably suggest is that they write it down as the mentor program through the actual school, like whatever that program is called that they're a part of. And then as part of the explanation, the job shadow would be part of the explanation. So, if it was only one time, or if there's other things the mentor program does, then you can kind of list those multiple things and the best way to showcase both. So all of junior year, multiple visits, reports written, meetings with the mentor, who's a professional. Part-time job has been 15. Both of those are really good things to highlight. And I think, where you have an opportunity to expand on them a little bit more is like for the UC app in your PIQ section. So there might be a good takeaway from either one of those things the student could talk more about and reflect on. I wouldn't leave any of that off the application. I think they're both really important. So, they both show a lot of responsibility and a sense of well-roundedness, I guess, too. And the job shadow, the actual working is like showing responsibility, and job shadowing and kind of like being willing to learn from someone and be under somebody's wing as a 16, 17-year-old is also a very impressive thing, especially if it's leading to kind of what that student is looking for in a career. So supplemental sections of some schools, and, the Common App also has an activity section, and there should be plenty of places and other applications to be able to showcase all of that. Okay, great. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that.
Should we be thinking along the lines of how things like activities connect? When they write the essays, will they, like, for example, my daughter is going to be editing videos for our business during the summer.
Cool.
So that connects to, she's also learning how to fly. So she's going to be, picking up stuff when she's editing.
Sure.
And regarding her flight instruction. And she's also doing this to earn money to get a paint job on her car. But it's awesome. A classic car. So that's her passion. So should we kind of be thinking along those lines in terms of like the essay, probably how to connect things?
I think it just depends, honestly, on, I'm not sure where she is going to end up applying right now. And, in terms of the actual activities section, everything is fairly separate. So it's up to her. It kind of will end up reading as a resume, basically. So, if it's important to her to mention, that she's working the video editing job in order to raise money, or to save money for her car, then that's something that she can mention. She also probably could say that she, one of her hobbies is, what is it having to do with cars again? Did you say?
The classic cars.
Classic cars. Yeah. So, I'm sure that is something that, as long as she's spending a lot of time with that kind of thing, and it's an interest and a hobby of hers, then that should absolutely go on the activities section. And then in terms of the essays and connecting things, I actually have a student right now who's writing about getting his pilot's license and, what that experience was like for him. And that's for a UC, the UC app, for one of their personal insight questions. So, it's an opportunity for him to say, like, well, this was an activity that's going to be on my list, but I want to tell them more about it because it's very, important to who I am right now and something that has interested me for a long time. And so that he's using that as an opportunity to expand and share more with admissions about who he is. So, I think the activities is just really, there's nothing in there that can be like super long. And so the essays and supplemental questions on applications are always opportunities to expand a little bit more on that. So, she could probably write a whole thing about her interest in classic cars and where that came from and what that's teaching her. And,
okay. Your student, if your student needs any help, I'll just throw this out as a sideline. My husband, just retired as an airline pilot, and he just got recognized from the Blue Angels.
Awesome.
And he was nominated for just all his help that he gives student pilots. And he got nominated and he got chosen. And we actually went over to, during the air show, a month ago, we went over and he got to ride in one of the Blue Angels jets
very cool.
for an hour.
Wow. Wow. That must have been real fun.
So, and he just mentors, hundreds of students. So if he needs like someone to talk to, hey, what would it take to get into the airlines? Feel free to give him my information and I can connect him.
Thank you for that. It's interesting because it's really just a pastime of his, like, and a side hobby. And I kind of keep pushing him, like, are you sure you don't want to look into pursuing this as, some kind of degree or school? But he wants to do something with economics. So,
okay.
So we'll see. Okay. We'll see how that pans out. Right. But, but it's always good to know those connections because we may have someone else we need to connect you with. So